What's up, YouTube fam? Back for another edition. You're keen. This is part 3 of the knife making series. I'm making my first knife here today, and you can get a look and have a little chortle to yourself at how bad it is. But stick around, things can only get better, as they say. So today, like I say, I've been practicing grinding quite a lot. It's getting marginally better, or should I say, slightly less shit than it was. But we'll get there. It's all about practice. You can't just pick up something and immediately be good at it, as I'll prove later on in the video. So, buckle up, get yourself a cup of tea, have a seat, and enjoy the show. Welcome back. We're still waiting for a cable so that I can mount this in the wall for my grinder. I've got it all together now. I should have put the plugs in, but I just left the bolts in. And I got it lined up. A guy online, Davey Thomas, helped me out. And she's all running true. I had to chop down my tooling bar. It was too long, it was hitting the motor. But I may need another tooling bar for the small wheel attachment because it comes out this way quite a bit. But I'll switch it on, will I? Watch the magic unfold, as they say. Let's stick it up right. That's it about halfway. So what I need is a bit of steel. There's a bit of steel, that'll be fine. And then so as you can see, it's rock solid. It shreds, so that's good. I'm very happy bunny. Now I can go and grind a bevel into my old knife and have a bit of practice on it. Absolutely delighted. So this is a first attempt at grinding a bevel. I've not got a jig or anything, I'm just like pulling it a lot across the face of the belt like so. I'm probably doing thousands of things wrong. This side's the better side of the two. It's reasonably straight. Obviously this needs sorted out at this end. But like I say, I'm just practicing, The other side's a bit of a mess. It's kind of a bit all over the shop. You can see the line there's going up for some reason. And I've obviously caught the entire side of the knife at some point. But like I say, this is the first blade I've ever put through a knife grinder, so things can only get better, shall we say. I did these top points as well, don't know what you call them, but they probably need tidied up a little bit. I'm on a 36 grit belt and it's quite severe, to be honest. I could probably do getting up to maybe a 60 or something to learn on, because this takes quite a lot of material off in one fell swoop. Like I say, that line's it's a bit of a mess, that one, but I'm going to pull the line hopefully further up here. I'm going to see if I can DIY a jig. I've got some angle sitting over in the corner there somewhere, that big bit of metal's angle, 90-degree angle, so I might be able to use that and just clamp the blade onto that, to give me a bit of a guide. I'll maybe do some couple of holes through it so as I can tilt it, if you know what I mean. I know I need the right thing, I need the right tools, but like I say, I'm just learning. So, but despite the fact that it doesn't look that great, I'm quite happy with that side, to be honest. For a first timer, I know it's all bollocks down here, but there's a little wiggle at the start there, but the rest of it's not too bad, so I'll take that. Welcome back. This is knife number 2 and 3. I've just cut the profiles out at the minute all I did was I drew them out with a bit of A4 and then used the X-Acto knife to cut out the shape. Then I stuck it on top of this. I only had sellotape, unfortunately. I didn't have any glue. Well, I did, but it was empty. So I just sellotaped it on. This is I prefer this one, I think. This one's got a thinner handle. You can see I've just nicked into it with the grinder on the edge there. So I'll have to sand this down a little bit more. But I quite like this one as well, with the thin handle. Blades are going to be similar, and I'm going to try and grind it just like along this line here. That's the plan. Who knows what will happen. These Chinese belts, they're not great, to be honest. Not that I know anything about what is great and what isn't, but they're not lasting very long. But I guess that's what you get for £2 belts, eh? So I'm going to tidy these up. This is just some cheap steel that I got off eBay. It's only for practicing on, so it won't see the light of day. Nobody will be getting this knife or buying it or whatever, or using it at any time. So it's just for practice. The steel isn't the greatest, I don't think, but it was cheap, so it'll do for practicing on. I think it was like £25 for 6 lengths. I've got these two out of one of the lengths, so the blades are probably, what, 3" maybe? They should be legal, UK legal. Whether the steel's any good or not, I'm not sure. But like I say, they won't be getting used in anger, I wouldn't imagine. It's just for me to practice my grind lines on. So that's where we're at. I should really get a bucket for all this dust. And I also think I need to slacken off the top part where the wheels go in, the small wheel attachment, because it's a bit of a struggle to get them in, it's a bit of a struggle to get them out, so I'll maybe just stick a washer or something in between the two halves, or just slacken it off slightly so that they just slide in. I haven't seen anybody else having the trouble that I have getting them out, so I'm presuming I'm going somewhere wrong. Also got some aluminium plate for my adjustable work rest, and I got some other square tube today for it as well, so that'll be coming up shortly. I noticed that as the belts get worn, the tracking seems to go off slightly with this, and I also noticed that this here, this should be springing back up. If I push that down, you can see that it's just sitting there, and then if I literally pull it up, it'll come up. So there's not a huge amount of tension on this wheel, and the wheel also looks like it's in a fair old tilt in the way, like so. You know, if you look at it compared to these, you know, there's definitely an angle going on like this with the tracking wheels. So I think I need to do a bit more adjustment on these wheels to get them all lined up properly. Tends to track to the left, so I need to sort that out. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. So far so good. I'll show you what I've done with the other one, the first knife that I ever did. I'll show you it just now. And here it is. This is effort number 1. I was shaping the handles. I sanded them down to, I think it was 240 grit. Did a bit of design in the spine of it, I guess. And it's just held together with that pin at the moment, because obviously the blade's not been heat treated or anything along that lines yet, or tempered. This is 1084 steel. I ground in the bevel, my bevel line. You can see it there, roughly where that light's hitting it, I guess. It wasn't the greatest, so I decided to try and put this rock pattern in, and it's not too bad, but I'd rather it was more like this than like this, you know. But I've never done this before in anything. I've never even practiced it in another bit of steel, you know, to see what I should be doing. I just get stuck in, as you do, and I wasn't decisive enough. That's why it's kind of wandered a bit. what I used was a small wheel attachment, and I was just putting it on its edge up against the small wheel and like moving it up at various different angles. That side's possibly even worse. But like I say, this is just a practice knife. It's not going anywhere. It's not getting given to anybody or anything like that, you know. But yeah, that rock is supposed to be called rock pattern, but it looks a bit like cock pattern if you ask me. It's not very good. However, it's all a steady learning curve. I also need to file in a sharpening choil, I think it is, or whatever they call it. No, a little notch, sharpening notch at the bottom there. I'm not sure if I'm going to harden this or not. If I maybe buy a forge, I will. Other than that, I don't see much point. It's just like I say for practice. I will put it together and I will finish it off properly. But like I say, it's just basically for practice. But because this is the first one, I'm going to keep it, and then I can look back in years to come, hopefully, and see how far I've progressed, you know. That's the plan anyway, but we'll see how that goes. So like I say, I've got another 2 knives out there just now. I need to put a fresh belt on. The 40 grip belt. It's not lasted very long, but it's, like I say, it's cheap belts, but it'll do for practicing. It'll do for practicing. What I do need to do is to get another one of those hydraulic rams for my grinder, so that the wheel's actually getting tensioned and it's actually getting pushed back up, you know, instead of me having to push it back up and then it'll slowly come back down and go offline, you know, go out of line. So I shall do that. That's the rest of the steel there that I got. It's 6 bits for 25 quid. I thought that was quite good. Like I say, I've got 2 out the first bit, so I've got another 5 to practice on. So hopefully by the time I get through that 5, I'll be marginally less crap than I am just now. that's the hope anyway. And that's the template for that small knife that I cut out outside there. So what I'll do is I'll go out, I'll change the belt, and I'll knock the edges off, and then I'll change the belt, and I will attempt to put a better bevel in this one than I did in this one. Like I say, it's all a learning process, but the brother came good. He's given me a sheet of, I think it's brass or copper, hard to tell, and a bit of angle. So I'm going to try and grind 1 or 2 knives with angle as a jig, if you like, and see how I get on with that. But ideally, I'd really like to be able to freehand grind the bevels, but obviously I'm just new to this, so that's going to take a while. But that's where we're at so far. So if you like this sort of content, keep it real. Come back and see the next one. I'd appreciate it. Thank you. Bye. Okay, so I've started grinding my second knife. As you can see, I've just done one side so far. I put a centre line down the centre of the blade. I don't know if you can see it there, but there definitely is one there. And I'm probably, I don't know, a couple of millimetres away from it. So apparently the idea is to start by putting in quite a sharp angle. Like, I'll over exaggerate it obviously, but you know, you're looking to be putting in probably about a 45 degree angle or so, and then take it up to your line that's in the middle of your blade, and then what you're meant to do, I believe, is just like work out from there. So you'll be obviously tilting it further and further backwards until you get the line that you want. And I'm hoping to have this line probably at least double the height that I'm at just now, maybe up to where my thumb is. That's what I would like, and I would like it to be straight. You know, this isn't, well, I don't think it's too bad for a rank amateur, but we'll see. And the idea is to get both of them to match on both sides. So that's the challenge. That's today's challenge. So what I'll do is I'll stop here, I'll flip this over, and then I'll put this initial bevel in, and I'll also make sure that I line it up with the start here where my finger is. Have that on this side at the same point, hopefully, and then once I've ground this one in, I'll come back and I'll show you. I'm using the worn 40 grit belt, and the grinder's tracking quite well despite the fact that it's pretty worn. As you can see, I've got it stuck in the right hand side of the platen. That was just to help get the line started, this part started. So what I'll do is I'll move this belt over to this edge of the platen, and hopefully it'll do the same on the other side. Okay, so I'm getting a little bit further up. I've obviously made a bollocks of the sharpening choil end of it, but never mind, it's all practice. This side went a bit wonk, but I'll try and straighten that out. I'm not going to bother too much about these bits that I'm not doing right at the end, getting the line in at the minute, because you can get like carbide clamps that hold it together and you can work off of them. I don't have one, but I'll sort something out. In the meantime, I just want to be able to get these a lot smoother than that, you know. I tried using a stick behind it, because I've heard of people using push sticks. Didn't really work out for me, as you can see. So I'm going to attempt to tidy this mess up, and I'll come back to you. A little bit more progress. It's kind of getting up slightly. I still haven't sorted that side out fully, but you know, it's all about just taking your time, I guess. And this one's not exactly straight either, but I think I'm going to wait until I've got a bit of angle coming tonight, so I'm going to try and wait until I get the angle, and then what I'll do is I'll clamp this into the angle and see how I get on with that, because it's a bit demoralising when you're just chasing your tail trying to sort out mistakes all the time, you know. I've watched so many YouTube videos, I kind of know, well, I don't know how to do it obviously, but I kind of know the basics of what they're trying to tell you on how to do it, you know. And what they're saying is that you basically put the pressure where you want the grind to be, you know. So I'm still a bit like scared to stick my finger in there, and it does heat up pretty quick. So I'll maybe get a stick and see if I can use that. But grinder's working good. This is still the old belt. It'll do for this knife, I'm sure, just to grind a line in, or try and grind a line in if I can get it in a blooming line. But we'll just keep persevering, because there's nothing else for it. These are a few of the knives that I've been using to practice my grinding on. This is like a letter opener thing. I just made it up out of a bit of mild steel I had. It's a pointy, stabby little bastard though, trust me. I've got the holes in my hand to prove it. I tried doing something a bit different. This was meant to be like a kind of ski and do design, but it's not got the notches in the side of the blade here, and the bevels are too big. But like I say, it was just practicing, so I didn't really bother about the bevels growing, you know. Bevels aren't great in that. This is the second one. This is actual second knife that I attempted to grind. You can see the bevel line in it's a bit off as well. And obviously down here I seem to be making an arse of it, as you can see there. But as with all things, practice will make you better, hopefully. So I've cut out this blank here. This is a proper knife steel that I have. I'm going to grind the bevel in it once I've got a bit more practice at grinding, because I want to keep this one. I really like the handle shape, and it really fits the hand well. It's really comfortable. And I've got another few. I'll just show you them while I'm here. I've also scored this 500 by 500 bit of brass. I think it's 3mm thick probably. For free. Happy days. And I've got these blanks here. You probably won't be able to see. What I really need is a Sharpie, but I went into town yesterday and I couldn't find any, so I'll show you them once I've cut out the blanks, if you like. Okay, let's go out to the garage and get grinding. I've been using this as a bevel guide. As you can see, it's just a bit of stainless, 90-degree angle. And I've drilled a couple of holes in it, but I'm going to put another one in the middle, in line with them obviously. And it's just because when I go off the end of the work rest, it'll like drop. This will like drop off the end because there's no bolt in it, I guess. So if I'm going to put another one in the middle, there'll always be at least two of them on the workbench, work rest at one time. And it seems to be helping with my bevels anyway. This is my drill. It's an old Meddings drill. It's absolutely awesome. Don't buy a new drill, buy an old one. They're built like tanks. This plate here takes you all your strength just to lift it up once you undo the bolt. It's that heavy. Heavy duty cast. And it's got a solid, I don't know what these are called, but the whole thing's solid. It's built like a brick outhouse. Another quick tip, if you don't want to lose your chuck key, put it on a chain. So that's the drill. I'm going to drill through. I'm using these Bosch drills. I just bought them. They're not too bad, to be fair. They weren't too expensive. I think it was about a tenner. Got them out of the fixers of screws or machine tools station or whatever it's called. So I shall mark this up, get it drilled, put a bolt through it, and then I'll grind the bolt down the same height as these ones that are already on it. It's like an Allen head bolt. And then we'll start grinding. I'm also going to space out my platen because the belt's running slightly off, and I figure if I put a washer in behind it, it should give it just enough room for all four wheels even to be in line, so it'll be a lot easier to adjust it at the top wheel, because at the minute it's a bit hit or miss. It's not ideal. I also wired the motor up backwards. It doesn't really bother me. It just means I turn it left, turn the switch to the left instead of to the right to go the right way with the belt, you know. I can live with that. So what I'm going to do first off, I'm going to cut out these blanks. I'm going to drill this for another bolt. Then I'm going to put a washer in the back of that to space out the platen a bit, and then we'll come back and see how it's looking for lining up. Okay, I've ground a few of them out. Well, the blade part anyway. I'll still do the handles. I need a small wheel attachment on for that. I've kind of ground the basic shape of it. That's the first one. You'll see it's got a lower belly on it compared to this next one, which is quite a chunker. I might actually take that down, take this corner down a bit more yet, to be honest. It's a bit on the chunky side. It's got a more like a straight handle, but it fits the hand well, you know. I like it. Might take it in slightly, you know. We shall see. I've got to put the small wheel on this end, obviously, and on this end here, just to round them off a bit more. And the last but not least, this is a dagger that I'm going to make. I might thin it out a bit more from here to here, just to make it a bit more in proportion. I haven't cut out the handle for it yet at all, because I haven't actually decided what kind of handle I want, but I know where it needs to go. I've marked it up around about there somewhere, so I know where it needs to go. But yeah, I'll maybe take these down very slightly in the edges, but I don't want it too thin, you know. I want it in proportion, I guess, and that's not quite in proportion yet, so a bit more needs to come off of that. Quick tip, I'm sure you probably already know, but use French curves for drawing these out. They're fantastic. You can get pretty much any curve on it you want, remarkably enough. Funnily enough, my name like French curves, eh? Boo. Anyway, I tried pissing about with the grinder, spacing it out here. Didn't make any odds. Spaced it out at the top wheel because it was marginally off the drive wheel. Didn't make any difference. So I put it back to the way it was. But I mean, it's running okay. It's just that wheel, the tracking wheel's quite an angle, like so. I don't know if they're meant to be like that, but you can kind of see it there, you know. You can see it's at an angle, and the adjuster, the tracking adjuster, which is this bolt here, it doesn't make much odds. It's either on or off, basically, but you can like fine tune it to get the belt to come to either edge of the platen, which I guess is all you need. But even if you look at the platen, it looks like the belt's running diagonally. Any experts care to chap into the comments and help me out here and tell me what I'm doing wrong? I'd be grateful. Right, I'm going to get my pencil, going to draw out these curves again, and then we'll start grinding them. So as you can see, I've been grinding, like I mentioned previously. This is my first knife ever, and I think it's not actually put together yet. As you can see, it's not hardened or anything. All I've done is ground the blade out, put a rock pattern in to hide how bad my grinding lines were, put a false edge in the top here, and I did a bit of file work in the spine. Nothing too dramatic, but I'm quite happy with it. I don't think I'll bother heat treating it at all. I'll just leave it as it is. I'll stick the pins in and hang it up in the wall somewhere. So that's the first one. But this grinding caper, I tell you what, it's not as easy as all the YouTube experts make it look. I've been practicing some other things. This is just a selection. The lines are getting slightly better. This is meant to be like a ski and do it started out as, but it's now turned into something completely different. You can see I've burnt it in the edge there a couple of places. That's just too much heat getting into the steel, obviously, or me leaning on it too hard or something along that lines. So I've got myself a dunk tank full of water made out of a thinner's tin. Just cut the top off it. This is actually the second knife that I did. Made a bit of a mess of it, I guess, but it's maybe not too bad. It's not too bad, to be fair. It's got rust on it because it's been sitting overnight in the water that was on top of the work rest. Not too bad though. After that, I made this letter opener. It's just an old spare bit of mild steel I had kicking about. And then I made this, like mini cleaver, I guess. And I've extended the grind lines because, like I say, these are just to practice my bevels on, to be honest. But they're getting slightly straighter, you know. That's not too shameful. That one's a little bit off, you know. But they're getting there. I also used a jig to grind this one. And you can see that it's got like it comes up a little bit in the middle here. I don't know why that is. If anybody's got any idea, they can let me know, I'd be grateful. Same on that side. I think I was maybe leaning too hard into it at the start, possibly. I'm not sure. But like I say, if anybody knows, do feel free to let me know. So that's just like a camp knife. Like I say, these are just for practicing on. This is 1084 steel that I'm using. I've probably mentioned it before. And oh look, I've cut myself, so one of them's sharp. I'm also working on these two at the minute. This is like going to be another camp knife, but it's got less of a belly on the blade there, so we'll see how that turns out once I start actually grinding it in. Put that over there, and this one here. This is actually my favourite so far. It's going to be a dagger. It's just profiled at the minute. I took it in here. It was the same width as this. It's not showing up too well with this light. It's the same width as this, so I've obviously used the small wheels here and taken it down in width. Trying to make sure it's the same on both sides. I've just been like putting it up to the light, and it looks not far away, to be fair, you know. I mean, I never measured anything, it's all been done by eye, so It's not too bad, I don't think, although there's probably some experts out there laughing their heads off. But we'll ignore them. So that's as far as I've come so far. I want my second 40 grit belt. Grinder's working fine. I need a new hydraulic ram for it, but I'm quite happy with the way it's performing. I've just got my controller there just now. I haven't got more cable so that I can mount it in the wall, but I'm not sure where I'm going to put it yet. This is just on top of like a tool chest at the minute, as you can see. There's my setup. That's a bucket for all the grinding dust, I guess. And a small wheel attachment there, and this plate from my adjustable workbench, workrest that I'm going to get onto. I'm going to leave it there for today, and if you get any comments or constructive criticism, do feel free to put it in the comments down below. I'd be grateful if you'd subscribe. It'll encourage me to make some more of these videos. I know I'm just a rank-ass beginner, but we've all got to start somewhere, and I'm not promoting myself to be some sort of knife maker. You know what I mean? I'm just learning how to grind at the minute. I'm not getting too carried away with myself, but I've ordered some more steel. Like I say, some more of this. I'm going to make some more of the smaller knives. And this is my jig. It's just a bit of stainless. I took the bolts out of the bottom of it, and what I've done is I've set my table up. Got this. It's a digital angle finder, angle gauge. So stuck it on the work rest and stuck it on the platen, and the work rest is 3 degrees, sitting at 3 degrees, which is fine for these knives. That's like a 3 degree bevel on each side. I think it's about 3.5 degrees actually in total. So I guess if this was to be slotted, where are we? See these holes here? If I had slotted them, I'd be able to adjust it to bang on 90, which I might yet do, because I would like it to be at 90 for like squaring things off, So that's where we're at. I'm not going to babble on any longer. I think I've said enough. But like I say, if you like the video, stick a like down the bottom and consider subscribing, and you can follow along with me, and we'll see where we get with this knife making caper. Alright, thanks very much for watching. Appreciate you taking the time. And with that, I'm out. Bye.